Hey, scrappy people, it's Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with my February 2019 Project Life wrap-up sort of spread. This is going to be a 9x12 full spread plus an insert, and I'm using the Ali Edwards kits. For this spread, I'm using a bunch of older stuff, and then for the other side, it's going to be mostly the newish pizza kit, pieces kit. On the right hand side here where it says Feb Stories, or left hand side, sorry, that is basically a bunch of photos from a birthday party we went to at a roller skating rink. I decided to wrap all those up together with the sort of Project Life overview of all of my extra pictures this month, because basically they weren't awesome pictures. It's really dark in a skating rink. But I still wanted to scrapbook the story, of course, so I just stuck them all together with the Project Life photos, even though it is one full story for that spread. I'm using a bunch of cards from a bunch of different kits, and I'm so excited that I got to use that "what goes around comes around" card, because I don't associate that phrase with anything awesome. Basically, like, if you're mean to me, life is gonna be mean to you, is kind of what it feels like, a karmic thing. So I struggled a bit with that card, but then I realized that February was the month from hell when it came to illness and school. Finn was only in school for 4 days in all of February due to school closures and illness. So I have two photos there snuggling with my animals in bed because I was sick. Finn was sick, Joe was sick, and I was sick. We all got this nasty, nasty flu. So I decided that what goes around comes around kind of relates to the flu and how gross it was, and because it kept going and coming and going and coming. So I'm going to write on that card specifically the worst flu ever or something like that, so that it makes sense in the context of the spread as well, not just in my head. I'm finally getting to use one of these acrylic words that comes with the Ali Edwards kit. So I'm going to use rest up here with this photo of Reese and I in bed. I tried to use my tiny attacher, but it's too thick, and I could have used like a real stapler, but it was too much effort to pull it out, so I got some liquid glue instead, which isn't the most secure thing ever, but it's just going to go in a pocket, and it's going to sit in the bottom of the pocket regardless, so I just let it go. I have this whole stack of chipboards that I've been collecting from Ali Edwards stuff, so I'm just kind of going through everything and adding it in. This heart is going to go on Joe and I. Lots and lots to look through. The only thing is that a lot of the bits and pieces in all of these kits, they're themed, like pieces or joy and stuff like that. So a lot of the phrasing is repetitive. So even though I have a lot of chipboard to choose from, unless I want to talk about like joy, 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 in a spread like this, that doesn't really make sense because it's kind of a roundup. So I have a lot to choose from, but they're really just, I can only pick one or two from each sheet. I have all of these little chipboard, they're like magnetic fridge poetry things, and I laid them out before I started and pulled some phrases from them, just in the interest of saving filming time. So I have some set aside with phrases that I might use. This one I felt like needed a little something, so I'm going to add that little heart sticker too. Add some journaling on here specifically about me and the flu, and the dog and the cat. I mean, the cat was literally sleeping on my pillow. The dog was literally snuggling up to me. They knew that I did not feel well. So I added in some journaling about that, and then my explainer on the "what goes around comes around" card as well. Looking through one more time, seeing if there's anything else. I really need something on this photo of Patrick up here skating. That photo is so dark, which made me a little bit sad because it's a great little photo of him skating around. But I need something, so I'm going to end up going with a word strip. There we go. So I like that big red February Stories card, but I really pulled my colors from the What Goes Around Comes Around card and then just incorporated some red in there as well. And on this side, I just sort of pulled everything from the Pieces kit. I also have some extra cards in here that I pulled out of my stash that would coordinate as well. Allie's kits aren't especially conducive to the way that I do Project Life since I don't use full photos for my 3x4s and 4x6s. So I always have to pull in some patterned paper and things like that to make it work with her kits. Sometimes I will use her you know, quote cards or whatever and cover them up if they're things that I don't think that I will use or quotes that I don't think I will say. I add them in as sort of background blocks of color. I did that with that donuts photo and then the photo on the far right of Patrick and the drink. Those are both quote cards that I just covered up. Oh, and a few of them are. I'm adding numbers to these stories that I wrote down, and I'm going to add coordinating numbers to the photos that they go with. So I'm adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the card, and then when I start building the clusters on the photos themselves, I will add in the numbers too. I kind of like having that roundup card to tell all those stories rather than trying to add journaling to each one of those photos. I do it both ways, so either way works for me, but this way I really liked doing it that way this month just because a lot of photos, not a lot of space. I take my photos, I always end up cropping really close, so sometimes it's not really awesome for adding journaling in after the fact. Adding some more of that magnetic poetry to that little quote bubble that I cut apart. Donuts. So that is story number 1, and it actually is a story about Patrick and I making sure to go on our date nights every week. We happened to get dessert one night. We don't often eat dessert, so we went over to a local place called Duck Donuts and got some dessert, and of course we got the same donut because Patrick and I, after being married together for 16 years, are pretty much the same person at this point. At least in some ways. We both like the same flavors. That was a fresh donut, by the way, with lemon icing and raspberry drizzle. Duck Donuts is a little amazing place. They make their donuts fresh right there while you are waiting for them. They are so good right off the press. Love them. See, these are old cards. That one I just put down was some Cocoa Daisy paper I cut down. That was an old Gossamer Blue card. Just some, I like doing it this way because I get to use up some stuff in my stash that I don't normally get to use too much because I do use a lot of kits and a lot of collections when I scrapbook. So getting to use my scraps in this way is always awesome. This photo is of Patrick and I sharing a desk. I tell this story here, and then I'm going to scrapbook a similar photo tomorrow in my story journal. So my story journal spread has less journaling because the story is really told here, but Patrick has been playing a lot of computer games recently, and so he shares a desk with me, and it's kind of nice to you know, pursue our separate interests in the same space. That's kind of the way that our marriage works, though, is we're always sort of doing our own thing and enjoying what we really like to do, but we share space while we do it, so we always feel like we're spending time together, even if we're doing separate things, which is always nice. Those two photos at the top of the spread are Finn at when he actually did go to school once. They had a story night at school, and so that's him and his teacher, and then him and a mosaic collage sort of thing of Martin Luther King Jr. that all of the kids did, where they talked about their dreams, which was really cute. And then I got 2 pictures of food. So I talk about my cravings. I love what we call a bed picnic, because we used to take all that food into bed with us and like binge watch TV, but we don't have a TV in our room anymore, so it's evolved into me putting out a big charcuterie board of dried fruit and meat and cheese and fresh food and stuff like that. And everybody in the house kind of grazes on it all day. It's a nice relaxing tradition that we have. And then that bottom one is a salmon bowl that I made, and I called it Deconstructed Sushi for the kids, and they loved it. So I just wanted to tell that story as well. I'm going to add in some of these clear stickers onto, they're like about self-love, so I'm going to add it to my little selfie down there. Cut it up to make it work. I need to add in some journaling to that sushi bowl photo as well. Then everything else is sort of covered by the main journaling card. It's kind of getting to the place now where I'm just sort of decorating, finishing off the spread, making sure everything is stuck down. I have some little icons here of rain, which really makes sense with that photo, because the kids, when they weren't out of school for the whole district being shut down for illness, they were out of school for the whole district being shut down for flooding. So I added a little rain icon there. I'm going to use this talk bubble to add in some journaling for this sushi bowl. I'm getting close to done here. That pieces of life right now in the bottom right hand corner. It's just talking about how the pieces of my life and what I'm dealing with, what's on my mind. So at the bottom it says my story matters, and that magnetic poetry chipboard. Kind of looking through the chipboard again, trying to build another phrase. I want to bring it in one more place so that it's not all just sitting there in that bottom. So I'm putting it on this photo of Patrick. I kind of like the feel because it can be messy and it just kind of looks right messy, which works for me. So I'm a messy scrapbooker. So anything that's supposed to look wonky and messed up, I like, because it makes my life easier. Doing a last kind of look through here, seeing if there's anything else I can add. And of course I can always add more magnetic poetry. Felt like there needed to be something on this photo because that 3 was just hanging out there alone. So I'm going to add it on there. I'm going to call it good, this spread. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I am at Tracy M. Reed. There's always a link in the description box below. And I will see you next time. Thank you.